and it cannot be used for household appliances that are recreational in nature, such as cable or internet services, televisions, VCRs, DVD players. The service cannot be used prior to becoming a CAP IDD participant. It should be used within the first 3 months of a participant's move to his or her home. Now, some clarification to this slide. If somebody is needing to use this service for moving expenses, and they won't be a CAP IDD participant until they've moved into their own home, I've gotten clarification from DMA that the service cannot be billed before that day, but if moving expenses are needed for that person to move into their own home prior to them becoming a CAP IDD participant, that would be allowed. And the service cannot be used with residential supports. And now, we should have Susie go. Oh, she's right up front. I'm used to looking for her back to talk about self-direction.
Good afternoon. I'm Susie Aguez with the Developmental Disabilities Training Institute at the School of Social Work at UNC in Chapel Hill. And I get to have a few minutes of pleasure in talking with you about self-direction. We have had self-direction as an option in the supports waiver for a little bit over a year. So we were glad to give you the lovely brochures that we still had left over from that. So as you look through those brochures, please know that what the information that is in there does apply also to the comprehensive waiver, which now becomes an option as of November 1. So the same philosophy and practice that we hope that we realized with some of the families and the individuals that stepped forward and participated in the self-direction option and the supports waiver, we hope to now have become something that individuals and family members in the comprehensive waiver will realize as part of their lives. So we really look for the fact that folks should really be fully engaged in assessing what their needs are. What do they want going on in their lives, and how do they determine what those services need to look like, who they are going to have, who are they going to employ to make that happen in their lives, and to really be involved in monitoring whether it's working or not. And if it's not working, then making those changes, being involved and having that authority to make those changes in their lives so their outcome is obtainable. So when we look at the goals in the CAP IDD waiver in self-direction, we're looking at really increasing, again, a person's choice and control over what's going on in their life. We're wanting to make sure that the funds that are available we can use in the most flexible manner, that people are using the funds that are available to them in the most appropriate way, the most wise way, because the individuals and families know what they need and how they can best meet their needs in using those funds. It's about assisting people to live in their communities instead of having to go to facility-based services, perhaps in licensed facilities in order to have their needs met. This is really about being creative and dreaming about developing lifestyles. It's not about fitting people into established programs and paying for it. It is really about creating what a person wants to have as part of their life. So it's very exciting, which is why I said it's my pleasure to tell you about it. It's also, again, really taking a look at helping someone have meaningful relationships, true connections in the community. So folks are looking at having social roles instead of just showing up somewhere. They're really engaged, and other members of the community really count on them being there. This all has to take place within the established funding rules, so it's not that we throw out policies. We do have to follow them, but again, the individual and family gets to decide who's going to be involved. They have something that's referred to as budget authority. That means that the individuals and families get to decide within the service definitions what services they're going to select, Are they going to hire the individuals to provide those services? How many individuals do they want to hire? What are they going to pay them? They also have the ability to have a combination where they can hire some individuals to provide some of the services through a particular service definition and then have a different service definition still go through a provider agency if they want to have that. So again, it's about increasing that flexibility to best meet their need. What equipment and supplies they want to buy or they need to buy to address their need and where they're going to get that from is also something that they have the authority. The amount that they wish to pay their employees that they wish to hire, they can pay up to the maximum rate that is set for each service definition. Anticipated benefits that we see is that, it really ought to be about increasing people's satisfaction, because if they're involved in making all those decisions and they're choosing who's involved in their life, it means that they're finding folks that they like, and maybe it also increases the fact that folks are not going to leave, and so you're looking at a lower turnover rate is what we have seen when we've taken a look at how this has impacted in other states. It also is that you really take a look at strengthening natural supports, again, and accessing those generic resources in the community, because it's not about always turning to that established disability-based resource, but it's really about going out and making it happen in places that you and I would go out. So it's also about reducing the need to always look for that facility-based service. Self-direction is an option. It's not a requirement. The person can try it for a while. The family can try it for a while. And if it's too much, that's okay. They can transition back into a provider-directed service model under the waiver. And I mentioned earlier the flexibility of having the combination. That means that, for example, if somebody had approved as part of their plan home and community and personal care, they could decide to hire someone to do the home and community part and still go through a provider agency for personal care. So again, there's that flexibility. As we look at the model that North Carolina chose, it's referred to as agency with choice. And that was chosen really because there's a lot of built-in safeguards. One of the questions that we have been asked, and as I have traveled in the past year or so providing training, it's always about the safeguards and what happens if things don't go right. Well, the Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Abuse Services, and the Division of Medical Assistance really thought through a lot of different scenarios and built a lot of safeguards in this model. So we're looking at the individual acting as the managing employer. Again, they get to decide how they're going to recruit people, what the folks are going to look like, what the job descriptions are going to look like, what the hours are going to look like, how they're going to train them. Again, what the wage is going to be for the person up to that set maximum rate. They're going to be involved in the supervision of that person that they hire. They're going to be responsible for doing things like keeping up with those lovely documentation grids. Because again, all of that has to be in place. All of the requirements under the definitions remain. Two components that are required, or two functions that are required under self-direction. One is the fiscal or the financial management service agency, sometimes referred to as a fiscal intermediary. In the state of North Carolina, that is GT Financial. So they partner with families, and they serve as the employer of record. They are going to be involved in ensuring that people that are applicants, that the family wants to bring forward and take a look at hiring, that all the criminal background check, the educational check, all of that is done prior to the person getting hired, so that the individual and family are assured that the person meets the qualifications as indicated in the service that they want to hire that person to develop, to deliver with them or for them. The other thing that GT Financial does is that they do the billing. So they hire the employee, and they are going to pay all the taxes, the workman's comp. Once that person provides the services, they're going to actually bill for those services based on the hourly rate that that family has decided to pay that employee, plus the taxes and workman's comp and that sort of thing. So GT handles all of that. The second required component is the community resource consultant. The community resource consultant is a consultant that is specifically for the individual and family. And so the whole process of this, and there's a lot of benefits in self-direction, but there's a lot of responsibility. And so the community resource consultant partners with that individual and family to assist them in learning how to do all the different parts, consulting with the family about how to make things happen. They also are a resource of going into the community and finding, again, what it is that the individual and family wants going on in their lives. The community resource consultant also acts as the qualified professional, or QP, in self-direction. So a lot of the things that are done by an agency, a provider agency, and the QP within that provider agency, the community resource consultant does it under self-direction. Here you have a list of services that are available for the individual and family to choose from. This is the only thing that's a little bit different than the booklet, what's in your booklet that you have, because added to the original list of services is supported employment, long-term vocational support, and a new service that is called individual goods and services. The next slide is going to tell us a bit about the individual goods and services. This is a service that is only available in self-direction. It's not available if the individual does not choose the self-directed option. Individual goods and services is a service definition that includes actual services, equipment, supplies that are not otherwise available either through state funding, other Medicaid programs, or otherwise in other waiver services. It is something that is available to improve and maintain that person's ability to have the opportunity for that full membership in the community. It also makes sure that the person has as much opportunity or promotes safety in the home for that person. So when we look at these two service definition, or this service definition, just to give you some examples, it might mean that if it is safer for a person to have a microwave in their home, that could be a use of this. If the person needs to have a peephole put in their front door so they can take a look before they answer the front door for safety reasons, then that can be a viable use for this service definition. This is up to $1,000 per plan year. The local management entities play a vital role in self-direction. We really designed so that they could be that initial point of contact or initial point of entry, so that whenever individuals and families want to have a conversation with a lot of detail, so again, individuals and families understand all the wonderful things that can happen through self-direction, but also have a good understanding of all those responsibilities and make that informed choice. The LME serves as that point of contact for them. I have had the opportunity to be invited and participate in those meetings, and it's been wonderful to hear what it is individuals and families want to get out of self-direction, and see if that in fact can happen as we describe what self-direction is in North Carolina. Anybody, any age, can participate in self-direction. It's not just for adults or children up to a certain age or under a certain age. Anybody can participate. And it's also for people who have guardians and for people who don't have guardians. So that does not matter. It's really the desire to participate in this option.